Everyone to a special interview episode, our Quick Kick Picks August Premier League winner. And I say winner in quotation marks because Christian technically won. But our friend Matthew Ridout, a.k.a. Soccernoob, is joining us live here. Matthew, hello.
Hi, Dave.
All right. And so if you're watching live on YouTube, say hello, interact with us as we go along here. The interview is going to be about 15 minutes. We're going to chat about Noob's Quick Kick Picks strategy for the Premier League, some other things that he's got going on, talk about his AFC Bournemouth fandom, and then maybe end with a quiz game like we did last time, which was a lot of fun. So again, say hello, interact with us. We'd love to hear from you. Noob, any final questions or anything like that?
How are things in sunny California?
Things are good. So I was in Portland earlier this week. I just got back today. No, I got back yesterday. Sorry, my days are blending together. I got back yesterday, so I'm settled back in. The weather looks nice outside. So after this, I'll probably go work out and enjoy a little bit of that sunny weather before holding back up and working on all my different soccer projects.
Sure. And you saw the Portland game against
Real Salt Lake. It was awesome, to be honest with you. It was such a cool experience. So going to Union games is more of a traditional sort of American experience where you drive down, tailgate, kind of be in the parking lots and things like that. The Timbers game felt much more European. It felt like people just in the city center taking public transit or just walking over to the stadium, and everybody, you're walking on these parallel streets, and you're walking with a group and you look to your right, there's a group walking, there's a group to the left walking, and then you all just kind of converge on this city center stadium that is old as hell and just sort of pieced together. But it's really, really nice, and it doesn't look like the traditional modern stadiums with all the fancy stuff. It had great amenities, but it was very much like it was an old baseball stadium, I think. And so it's got this huge roof and it's got a curved sort of seating arrangement. And so it was just really cool and unique. So really enjoyed it.
I know that they take their politics with their soccer very seriously. And while I don't want to go down that rabbit trail too much, I have the impression that Portland and maybe Seattle as well, the whole of Cascadia, that they combine their soccer and politics maybe even more than most other American soccer cities. What do you feel like what was your feeling of that, or in general sitting in the stands? Because I know you've been to games in England and maybe other parts of Europe. Did it also feel a lot the same out there, just like it did outside the stadium?
Not quite. So, I mean, I just went with my wife and we didn't interact with too many other fans. We're not exceptionally sociable at times. And so I can't say that I really saw too much of the politics. I've been reading a lot about it, and, I'm understanding of the whole situation. And there were a couple flags in this section they had in the Timbers Army, because we weren't sitting in the Timbers Army, we were looking at it. They had like a censored sign that they were holding up and things like that, which obviously is in reference to what MLS is trying to do with the Iron Front flags and all of that. But I can't say that outside the stadium there was like a vibe of politics or was super intense. It was just kind of more of a traditional kind of experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty family friendly. Most American stadiums are. That would be the slight difference from Europe. My wife noticed it. I didn't even really notice it, but there was tons of family friendly signs in their pamphlet that they gave out. There was all kinds of promoting sort of family events and things like that. And so, that was our experience, and it was a lot of fun. It was really cool.
Well, I'm still only a little under 2 hours from Cincinnati, so while I may not be likely to see a win, I'm hoping to get to my first ever professional soccer game this season, or maybe to a USL Championship game with Louisville, only a couple hours away.
Yeah, you got to check them out. All right, cool. So, I mean, that was a preamble, and a lot of good stuff in there. But are you ready to get into the interview to learn a little bit more about you?
Oh, you're much more interesting. I'd rather interview you, but go on.
All right, cool. Let's kick this thing off. All right, listeners, welcome back from that break. I am here with Matthew Ridout, a.k.a. Soccernoob, our Premier League August Quick Kick Picks winner. So Noob came through Noob, let me welcome you. Say hello. Hello, how are you doing today?
Hi, doing well, thanks. And yes, congratulations to Christian. I don't know if all the listeners know all the exact scoring method that you used, but he had a incredible comeback on the last the weekend straddling August and September to overtake me and a few others that were in a tie bunch. So
Absolutely. So yeah, for those who don't know, Quick Kick Picks is a game that we play predicting MLS and Premier League games. And if you get the home team score correct, you get a point. The away team score correct, you get a point. If you get the result of the match correct, you get a point. If you get all three of those correct, you get 5 points. What Noob is alluding to, Christian predicted 5 scores correct on the last game week and match week. So match week 4, the last week in August, and ended up getting 29 points, which was, Noob, you actually came through in second in our last game week with 19 points. That's a pretty good week from you, but Christian had this storming comeback, and so he finished the month of August with 59 points in first. And Noob, you were our second place finisher with 56 points, and we said we're not going to interview Christian because he gets enough FaceTime on the podcast, so we're going to have you back on. But let's talk about your Premier League fandom and specifically Quick Kick Picks. I know you have an interesting strategy, so you want to tell us kind of how you go about predicting your Premier League Quick Kick Picks?
Sure. Well, my Twitter and website handle, Soccernoob, may be used by some people ironically. It is not with me. I did not grow up watching soccer. I don't know a ton about soccer. I've spent the last nearly 2 years trying to catch up, and while I'm sure I've learned by leaps and bounds, my methodology was this. I looked at last year's results at the same stadiums with the same teams and typed in the exact same scores, except that I didn't, if a team scored 4 goals, I whittled that down to 3. That was the only judgment call I made.
All right. Well, clearly it was an effective strategy early in the season. It'll be interesting. So how did you approach if it was a newly promoted team? So what were you doing with those? Newly promoted
teams, I usually, if they were at home, gave them a goal. If they were away, I gave them no goals. And then I looked at the average goals scored against non-top 6 teams, for the more traditional or non-promoted Premier League team, and went with that for a score.
All right, there you go. And clearly it was an effective strategy. You kicked my ass. I came through with 41 points. I was way down there. I was in 6th place for this month. And Drew Pels came through in 3rd with 52. Matt came through with 47 in 4th, and then Drew Deal had 43 points. And those were all the people that made predictions on an ongoing basis. And then we had 13 different people make predictions throughout the month. So if you guys want to get involved, listeners, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That's where you can check out the videos, or check out our YouTube. We have one long video on there, so you can do all of that. And Noob, I know you are also an AFC Bournemouth fan. So how are you feeling about their season thus far?
1 win, 1 draw in 4 matches for the Premier League season. It's not the hot start they got off to last year, but it's a small market team. You're kind of wait and see. Last year, I'm not really knowing any better. I was daydreaming about, I wonder if they can compete for a Europa League spot. Could they get to European competition? And what should have been last year, and perhaps will be this year, is a more realistic approach of, well, Aston Villa's probably not going to go back down. They'll start climbing eventually a little bit. Can Bournemouth stay in the Premier League? That's my baseline of hope and expectation, is that they can stay up. But the defense against teams that are likely to finish in the top half of the table is not good right now. Their last performance, their game against Leicester City, was not happy times. It was sad times, in fact.
All right, fair enough. So you think they'll be dragged into a relegation fight?
I'm hopeful, realistically hopeful that maybe that they can flirt with competing for, like 10th place. But I think that's probably at the highest end of their expectations. Their budget simply is what it is. I mean, their best player on offense so far this year has been a guy that I'm sure you're very familiar with. You know who I'm referring to.
Ryan Fraser.
They got him on loan from
Harry Wilson.
Harry Wilson. They got him on loan from Liverpool this year. He is the only guy. I don't know if it's Premier League or if it's Premier League plus their Carabao Cup match, but he's the only guy so far with 2 goals. And, from a layperson's eyes like me, he's looked tremendous. So happy to have him. But I have a question for you.
Of course.
So for any newbites in the audience like me, this is for you guys. When someone is on loan, what does that mean in terms of who's paying his salary, and what, if any, rights does Liverpool have to bring him back into their fold this season or next season?
So it all depends. Every contract is different. Generally speaking, there is a loan agreement where you say, all right, team X, the home team or the team that owns the player will pay part of his salary, and the team taking him on will pay part of his salary. So Alexis Sanchez is an example where Manchester United is actually paying the majority of his salary, even though he's on loan at Inter. And so for a player like Harry Wilson, and Bournemouth and Liverpool have a pretty good relationship, I would imagine Bournemouth is covering most of his wages. I don't know, but it's going to be different for every single player. With regards to calling players back, there will usually be a clause in the agreement, a termination clause or something like that, where there will be a fee associated with calling a player back early, or if Bournemouth say either Harry Wilson gets hurt or they're just not using him anymore, they may mutually agree to terminate the loan, have it be not effective anymore, and he can go back for free. But it all kind of varies. There's no one set sort of rule. The one rule is specific to the Premier League, is that players on loan cannot play against their parent club. Other leagues, that is up for negotiation. The Premier League doesn't allow players to do that. And so that would be the one wrinkle that is sort of unique to the Premier League. So when Bournemouth meets Liverpool, they don't allow Harry Wilson to play against Liverpool.
It'll have to be Josh King and Calvin Wilson time, and that's about it.
There you go. So, so hopefully people, little education there. And hopefully that's interesting. Any other questions or anything like that? Or you want to talk about your website?
I don't have any other questions. Sure. We can talk website real quick. Soccernoob.com is the one that I've been running for 2 years. I lost a soccer unrelated gentleman's bet to a guy I referred to as the management on my website 2 years ago. Picked a topic that he knew I didn't know anything about, said, write about this every day for 1 year. And so we picked soccer, and it's just kept going. So the original format of the site was me doing mini previews of games mostly. The 10 to track, and that was big leagues in Europe, America, and then leagues and tournaments from all over the world, places most people don't talk about, Tahiti, Nepal, Indonesia. So I kind of learned a little bit of everything and a lot about nothing. And then it's infused with a lot of comedy, since I can't bring a lot of true soccer content. The more current format has been that I have presented myself as the only international journalists covering the Isle of Sodor Premier League, whose FA Cup is about to start. They organized last year as an FA, and their FA Cup and Premier League season are going to get going very shortly. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of fake teams are doing what, and what sort of articles I find to lampoon throughout the week on non-match days.
Yeah, and so for those who aren't picking up on the joke, which I wasn't for quite some time, it is a fictional league, and Noob sort of takes things happening in the real world and sort of like melds them into what's happening in this fictional league. And it's a really just creative and interesting way of just blending what's happening in the real world with creative writing, and it's a lot of fun. It's funny, and I can't recommend it highly enough. So make sure to check out soccernoob.com.
Yeah. Will Rivard of World Tottenham Hotspur once said that he enjoys it because it doesn't have the same old transfer news and content as so many other websites. I've always said, I know I'm doing something no one else is doing. The question is there a reason no one else is doing it? So time will tell. But interestingly, I sort of approached them as they were trawling, but there is a group out there that has started a new entertainment website that claims they're going to do a lot of content, and they have approached me. So it's possible that I will consider doing both the Isle of Sodor Premier League on my site, and I may revive the old format under still the Soccernoob Nomer under their site. So God help us, it could be coming back.
All right. And where can people follow you on Twitter just to stay updated with everything you got going on?
I am at American Soccer Noob on Twitter is the handle.
Is it, or is it just, I think it's just Soccernoob. I think American Soccernoob is our Slack name.
Oh, but I get it so confused. Somebody else owned one of them. I'm sure if you just search for Soccernoob, you'll find me. Soccernoob USA. That's what it is.
Yes, there it is. And so make sure to do that. And Noob, I don't think I've ever asked you this before. I know you said you weren't knowledgeable about soccer when you had the gentleman's bet and ultimately decided on that. Did you have a curiosity about the sport? Like, why did you ultimately pick soccer versus badminton or some other sport or something like that?
It's the same reason that that I look at stuff all over the world. I'm interested, I want to know about the game, how it's played on the field, the positions, and what to watch for, triangles and defense and offense, and having options. And that will all come with time. But as a liberal arts major in college, I just sort of have a curiosity about the world. So when I'm looking up things about what's happening on the small island countries soccer-wise in CONCACAF, or I'm following, the Japanese Women's League or the rankings in Asia of all their domestic leagues, it's a curiosity about this sport that brings everyone together, that everyone, including Americans now, the last certainly 20 years, thankfully, really, really love. And the politics involved and the social aspects, those are the things that really, really interest me. And then soccer is just this fun paradigm to look at it through, this neat lens to witness it all.
I think that's very well said, and that's definitely something that draws me to the game as well. So do you have anything else, any other questions or topics you wanted to cover before I know you have a quiz game for us again, but anything else you want to talk about before we get into that?
No, quiz game.
All right. So maybe I'll just set it up. So for those who don't know, Noob was our June MLS Quick Kick Picks champion, and at the end of the interview, he had a game that he put together where he asked me questions. I have not prepared for this in any way, and I did my best to answer. And then on our website, so podcast listeners will know, we have a buy us a shot option. Matt always does a fantastic job of plugging that, Matt, my brother. And on our website, you can buy us a shot. So $3, you can buy as many as you want, and it helps support the show through, just covering costs and all of that. And so I think with this, every correct question I answer, I believe I get a shot bought by Noob. And I think that's how we approach this. Correct, Noob?
You have the right of it.
Okay.
Cash money on the table. Cash on the barrelhead.
All right. Let's over to you. So let's get this going.
All right. So your first question today, Dave, is completely non-soccer oriented. It relates to a sports story I saw today. At the Vuelta a España International Stage Bicycle Race. It's one of the biggest ones. I'd never heard of it, but a helicopter camera yesterday caught a view of something while covering the cycling race that led to a police action. Do you know what it was?
I have no idea. Someone stealing bread.
Incorrect. There was a giant marijuana cultivation going on top of an apartment building, and the police raided and snagged 40 plants. No arrests have been made yet, but and actually growing it is not illegal there, but there are government limits on the size, and apparently 40 plants is too damn many.
All right.
So the police snagged their ganj. Go figure. All right. So I'm sorry you didn't get that one, but let's move on to the next one. All right. From my first ever visit on your show, I mentioned we talked about Usain Bolt and his soccer dreams. All right, question. Do you remember which league he was on a club team training with?
The A-League in Australia?
That is correct, Cash. Cash money. You can describe to the listeners what you're seeing. So
the listeners who are just listening to the podcast, we also record live on YouTube. Noob has a stack of bills, which he has hidden until just now. And so when I got that correct, he made it rain there. So that was hilarious.
Kind of the hip hop strip club scene. Yeah. You didn't know that I had skills to pay bills.
I did not.
Me in either of those. What team was Usain Bolt training with?
See, this is, I want to say Wellington, but I know that that's the New Zealand team. I don't know. Yeah.
The incredibly bad Central Coast Mariners.
Oh, yes. Okay.
What
yes.
position was he training for?
Striker.
Left winger is
okay.
Okay. Question. What is Usain Bolt doing now that he has given up on his soccer dreams?
I would imagine he is a studio analyst.
He has started an e-scooter company called Bolt Mobility with e-scooters that go 15 miles an hour.
All right, I was close.
It was in America, and then it's doing very well in Paris from what I was reading. All right, next question. Do I, Noob, have any idea if 15 miles an hour is fast for an e-scooter or ironically slow because it's Usain Bolt?
I'm going to go with no, you don't have an idea.
I have no idea. That's correct. That's 2. All right. Multiple choice. Back to more true traditional soccer. Under what name was now AFC Bournemouth first established? Were they A, Bournemouth and Boscombe Athletic FC, Boscombe St. John's Institute FC, or have they always been known as simply AFC Bournemouth?
No, I know they haven't always been known because I do Soccer Tavern videos, and so I know it's either A or B. I'm gonna say it was B.
Boscombe St. John's Institute FC is correct. All right, so that's 3. I'm running out of bills. I gotta go get a better job. All right, did AFC Bournemouth before this current stretch since 2015-16? Have they ever played in the Premier League before?
No.
No, that is correct. I'm never going to get into a rap video this way. I'm dropping money. This is terrible. I didn't think this through at all. Okay, let's see here. Did AFCB ever win any of the other top 4 tiered, or any of the other top 3 tiered leagues?
I don't think so. I think every promotion has been without actually winning.
Incorrect in this. Oddly enough, they spent most of their history bouncing between the 3rd and 4th tiers in English football. They've never been promoted as a winner from the 4th tier, but they have won the championship in League One in 2000, the year before they came up to Premier League, 2014-15, I want to say, and then back in the 80s, they won League One. All right, next AFCB Bournemouth question regards Coach Eddie Howe. Do I, Noob, consistently misremember his name and constantly refer to him in my own mind as Gordie Howe?
I would say yes.
That is correct as well. All right, final question. You've got 4 so far. Okay, this one's about Liverpool, near and dear to your heart. Coach manager Jurgen Klopp, who, a season or 2 back, appeared to get dentures of some kind. With his new choppers, and this is multiple choice again, sort of, does Jurgen Klopp look more like a creepy pedophile uncle?
Okay,
that's why I said it was sort of multiple choice. That's the only choice.
Yeah, he does have an odd look to him. As much as I love him as manager.
There, the final wad of money got thrown in the air. So congratulations, Dave. You got 5 of those correct. So I will be donating 5 shots to the Bros Hockey Soccer Empire. Thank you so much for having me on and letting me carpet bomb yet another episode of your fine podcast show.
No, so thank you so much for all your support. I know we've connected. It feels like probably 2 years ago at this point, and I've just appreciated your support. Thank you so much for joining us. Quick reminder for everyone again: people can find your website. It is soccernoob.com, correct?
Yeah, that sounds right. I'm looking for money now.
Okay, and then make sure to follow him on Twitter. It is at, I think, Soccernoob USA. Search for Soccernoob, and I'm sure you will find him. Noob, thank you so much for joining me and talking with me today. And congrats again on the Quick Kick Picks victory.
Goodbye. Thank you.
All right. Everyone who is watching the video or is listening to the podcast, thank you. This interview will be out on our Sunday episode. So if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be out it'll be included in our audio I'm trying to get my dates up here, the podcast that comes out on September 8th. So thanks again, and we will talk to you soon. See you, everybody.